A very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on the People's Channel. Bringing you the news from the news desk, I am Sandro Sadhujit. Let's take a look at your headlines first.
Buddhists mark last full moon Poya of the year. Sripada pilgrimage commences. Sri Lanka relaxes COVID restrictions for inbound travellers. Politicians are trying to increase electricity tariff by inciting fear among the people, says PUCSL chairman. International organizations have agreed to support Sri Lanka with financial assistance, says State Finance Minister. Argentina Vice President found guilty of corruption.
Your news now in detail. Today marks the Uduap Full Moon Poya Day. Uduap Poya Day is the last full moon Poya Day of the year and commemorates the arrival of Sangamitha Theri in Sri Lanka with a bow sapling from the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi in India during the month of Uduap.
Uduap Poya is the last full moon Poya Day of the year and commemorates the arrival of Sangamitha Theri in Sri Lanka with a bow sapling from the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi in India during the month of Uduap. Sangamitha Theri was accompanied on this voyage of utmost importance by several members of the royal family who had entered the Sasana. The contingent landed in the Dambakolapatuna fort in Jaffna on an Uduap Poya Day during the reign of King Devanampiya. Sangamitha Theri was the daughter of Emperor Soka and the sister of Arahat Mahinda, who brought Buddhism to Sri Lanka on Poson Poya Day. The Bhikkhuni Sasana, which Sangamitha Therani inaugurated with the ordination of Anula Devi, also took place on a day like this. Many devotees visited the Anuradhapura Sri Mahabodhi and Ruan Valley Saya today. Religious activities took place at the Temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy. Meanwhile, the 23rd sermon of the Sri Sadhamseta Dharma series, organized by the Opposition Leader's Office on every full moon Poya Day, was also held today. Meanwhile, the Sambuddha Puja of the Sri Shakya Malaka was held opposite the head office of the Capital Maharaja Group.
Meanwhile, the Sripada pilgrimage season began on Wednesday.
After placing the statue of the Sumana Samandeva and the relics in the Sripada Padma, the Sripada pilgrimage season will commence from Uduap Poya Day. The motorcade commenced on Tuesday from the Galpottavala Rajamahaviharaya in Palmadulla and it reached Sripada passing Ratnapura Hatton and Balangoda. The statue of Sumana Samandeva and the relics were moved to Sripada at an auspicious time on Wednesday morning. The Sripada pilgrimage season will end on Vesak Poya Day 2023.
Meanwhile, reports have revealed details about an Aranya Senasana being destroyed by treasure hunters in Kumana.
The Bambaragastalawa Aranya Senasana, located inside the Kumana Reserve, is considered to date back to the era of the King Kavantissa. The pagoda of the Aranya Senasana, located 35 kilometers from Panama, was ruined by treasure hunters. The chief incumbent of the temple points out that the reclining Buddha statue, which is more than 20 feet long, is also in a very unsafe condition.
Meanwhile, protests were held across the island demanding solutions to the problems faced by the people, including the sale of profit-making government institutions and non-concessions in the cost of living.
The employees of the trade zone staged a protest opposite the Siambalapi junction in Biagama against the government that is oppressing the people. Meanwhile, a group of employees of the Kandy National Hospital also protested yesterday. Meanwhile, a protest organized by the Trade Union Coordination Centre was held at Galaha Junction, Peradeniya. Officials from Peradeniya Hospital, Department of Agriculture and Department of Poultry Production and Health were also present.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka warned that the political authority is attempting to increase the electricity tariff by inciting fear among the public. On Tuesday, Sri Lanka's Minister of Power and Energy warned of extended power cuts next year if electricity tariffs are not increased. The minister told Parliament that the power cuts may be extended to 6 hours a day. The Vikunamuda Godayamuda publication, written on myths and answers about privatization, was launched in Colombo.
The group of people, including members representing the Socialist Youth Union and the Frontline Socialist Party, attended the book launching ceremony.
If you consider land cases, at least 50 to 20 years will be spent on it. So why not suggest to privatize the legal system? The Sri Lanka police is very inefficient. So is the army. So let's sell those as well. 410 billion is allocated for the defense services. Why not sell that too? They have started selling the profit-making entities now. The debt is taken to the treasury and the rest is given to the private sector. In our country, regardless of the economic principles, there is only sales, robbery and lending. That's their line.
Several trade unions expressed their opinions about an attempt to sell Sri Lanka Telecom and Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation.
We would like to tell the government, the ministers and the opposition that we will continue this battle to save these institutions until the very end. As citizens of Sri Lanka, you have a duty and responsibility to save this institution. This company is to be sold off for $600 million. Are you hoping to bring fuel, diesel or gas by selling this? What is your plan? What do you plan to sell next? You have nowhere to go next. I say, try to save this country. If you need dollars, we will tell you where to find them. Between 2008 and 2018, more than $40 million were misplaced through false invoices. This is stated by the organization called Global Financial Integrity, according to data of the UN. Does President Ranil Wickremesinghe have any plans to get this money? A lot of corruption was exposed through the Panama Papers.
The People's Voice Collective convened a media briefing in Colombo under the theme Api Hedemu Rata Hadamu Diyawarnawa Alut Karamu. The organization stated that they will continue to advocate for the change that was expected from the Aragalaya.
70 to 80% are now rejecting the entire 225, but none of the rulers understood it. This pressure is being endured, but we have only so much we can bear. This can blow up in ways you can never imagine. Through the Aragalaya, we want the system change. We don't want to see these jokes of yours again. Where is the system change? You can never do this. Remember, there is a generation with a backbone in this country. Don't think that we're keeping quiet because we're in fear. We will rise up. We have had enough. We were fooled, so let's think smart. The innocent people have let go of almost everything possible. Rulers never felt this. Now leave. You destroyed this country for the past 74 years. We need to change all 225.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's State Finance Minister Ranjit Siamapitiya told reporters that the multilateral financial institutions have agreed to support Sri Lanka.
අපේ ඉදිරි ආර්ථික ස්ථායීකරණ සහ ඒ සඳහා වූ ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණ පිළිබඳ ඉහළ පෙළේ වටමේස සාකච්ඡාවක් අද දවසේ පැවැත්වුණා. ජනාධිපති
We held a roundtable discussion with the multilateral financial institutions chaired by the President on future economic stability and reforms. The leading figures of the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, International Monetary Fund and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank attended this meeting. These organizations praised the government programs and extended their support. Meanwhile, long queues were seen in Paddegama town in Galle to purchase kerosene. Our reporter said that the Paddegama cooperative filling station had received the kerosene stocks after many months. Kerosene was distributed subject to a limit of 1,500 rupees. Meanwhile, the Government Medical Officers Association says that the circular issued stating the retirement age of government employees as 60 years is causing confusion in the entire health sector.
The gazette regarding mandatory retirement for all state employees at the age of 60 was issued yesterday amidst uncertainty over the retirement age of doctors. That was the decision reached by the Cabinet Subcommittee regarding doctors, and how will the recommendations of the committee be implemented? What is the power of Parliament in this matter, and what were the decisions reached by the Cabinet yesterday? What will be the decision regarding doctors on the 31st of December? I urge the Minister of Health and officials to reveal the true situation regarding doctors and their retirement age.
Sri Lanka has completely relaxed the restrictions imposed on overseas arrivals during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The requirement to produce a COVID-19 vaccination certificate by any person arriving to Sri Lanka via any airport or seaport is removed with effect from Tuesday. The Director General of Health Services said that the requirement to produce a pre-boarding or on-arrival negative COVID-19 test by any person arriving to Sri Lanka via any airport or seaport is no longer required. If foreign nationals, tourists become COVID-19 positive after arriving to Sri Lanka, they should isolate for 7 days in a private hospital, hotel, place of residence. The cost of treatment or isolation should be borne by the foreign national tourists.
The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka says essential medicines and medical supplies worth 2 billion rupees donated by the government of China to Sri Lanka have reached Colombo.
The Ministry of Health says this consignment was the second batch of humanitarian assistance pledged by China for Sri Lanka. The shipment, which was delivered in 24 containers, weighs 255 metric tons. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka tweeted that China has donated medicines worth 5 billion rupees to Sri Lanka since June this year. The Chinese ambassador is scheduled to hand over the consignment of medicine to the Health Ministry today.
The Tags Awards by the Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo on Tuesday.
A total of 12 public sector organizations walked away with gold awards in recognition of their high-quality financial reporting at the Best Annual Reports and Accounts Awards 2022, organized by the Association of Public Finance Accountants of Sri Lanka, which is the public sector wing of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. The event saw the presence of Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, Governor of the Central Bank, President of Chartered Accountants Sri Lanka, Sanjay Bandara, and President of the Association of Public Finance Accountants, V. Kanaga Sabapati, Vice President of Chartered Accountant Sri Lanka, Heshinu Kuruppu, and CEO of Chartered Accountant of Sri Lanka, Dulani Fernando.
The head of the worldwide Dawoodi Bohra community, His Holiness Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin, arrived in Colombo for a 4-day visit recently.
The head of the worldwide Dawoodi Bohra community, His Holiness Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin, engaged in socio-cultural activities, a sermon and marriage ceremonies during his visit to Colombo last week. Around 1,000 delegates gathered from overseas to participate in the programs in Colombo. On the 1st of December, His Holiness met with His Excellency President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's official residence. During the meeting, they discussed the historical bond and friendship between Sri Lanka and the leaders of the Dawoodi Bohra community. His Holiness Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin prayed for the growth of Sri Lanka and that the country strengthen its agricultural sector to become self-sufficient, while also becoming an exporting nation of its excess agricultural produce and grains to the rest of the world.
The Shakti Pothyatra book donation drive will continue until the 24th of December, and you can donate exercise books, coloring books, pencils, pastels, rulers and color pencils among others to the following collection points. Head office of the Capital Maharaja Group in Colombo 2, the Department Studio Complex, Stein Studios Ratmalana, Echelon Square in Colombo, Kandy City Centre as well. The stationery items that you donate will be delivered directly to the children during Christmas. Moving on to news overseas, Donald Trump's real estate company has been convicted of carrying out a 15-year-long criminal scheme to defraud tax authorities, adding to the legal woes facing the United States former president as he campaigns for office again in 2024.
The Trump Organization, which operates hotels, golf courses and other real estate around the world, faces fines over Tuesday's conviction, with the exact amount to be determined by the judge overseeing the trial in New York State Court at a later date. The company stands accused of doling out those off-the-books perks to several executives who failed to pay taxes on them. The scheme's architect, the Trump Organization's longtime chief financial officer, Alan H. Weisselberg, pleaded guilty and testified at trial. The company, however, is not automatically guilty of his crimes. The company had pleaded not guilty and Trump himself was not charged in the case. The judge set a sentencing date of the 13th of January. While the fine is not expected to be material for a company of the Trump Organization's size, the conviction by a jury could complicate its ability to do business by spooking lenders and partners.
Meanwhile, a court in Argentina has sentenced Vice President Cristina Fernandez to 6 years in jail for corruption in a case that has shaken the country.
Fernandez was found guilty of fraudulent administration over the awarding of public works contracts to a friend, but she is unlikely to serve jail time. Fernandez has some immunity via her government roles and is expected to launch a lengthy appeals process. She has also been banned from public office for life, but will continue in her role as vice president while the case goes through higher courts. Prosecutors had sought a 12-year jail sentence. Fernandez said the charges against her were politically motivated. It is the first time ever that a vice president has been convicted of a crime while in office in Argentina. Prosecutors said Fernandez had led an unlawful partnership during the time when she was president of Argentina from 2007 to 2015.
Meanwhile, a man who shot and wounded Lady Gaga's dog walker during a dog theft has been sentenced to 21 years in prison. James Howard Jackson pleaded no contest, which is similar to a guilty plea to attempted murder.
Ryan Fisher was walking the singer's 3 French bulldogs in Hollywood in February 2021 when Jackson shot him in the chest. Fisher said he had to have part of his lung removed after the attack. Several other charges Jackson faced were dismissed as part of a plea deal. Jackson and one of 4 other accomplices took 2 of the dogs, Koji and Gustav, following the shooting. A third bulldog, Miss Asia, ran away and was later found by police.
The 8 teams that will play in the FIFA World Cup quarter-finals were decided after Portugal decimated Switzerland 6-1 in the final round of 16 match. Here's a look at the schedule for the quarter-finals.
December 9th, Friday, 8:30 p.m. Croatia versus Brazil at
That's all the news for now. Bringing you the news from the news desk, I am Sandro Satyajit signing off. Have a beautiful day.